lovely to be here. And there's a South African expression which says that the wise need the young as much as the young need the wise. And we've got both here today. So it's lovely to see the growth of this movement. So I've been asked to talk briefly about storytelling and the power of storytelling. I think that there are two ways of knowing things in this world. One is through studies, and the other is through stories. And studies tend to give us lots of information that we need to build up institutions and knowledge. But I think stories are what we use to grow community and to deepen our relationships. So I just want to tell you one story, because I think this afternoon is all about stories, about our stories of a time when we've come together to make things better in our neighborhoods and in our communities. So I've just returned from Rwanda in East Africa. And I returned there after spending about 3 years away from Rwanda. I was there 3 years ago, and I trained a number of community builders. And they've subsequently gone out to communities and schools all over the Gasabo district, which is in Kigali, which is the capital of Rwanda. Now, who knows what happened 22 years ago in Rwanda? There was a genocide. So they've been building up their communities from the grassroots in Rwanda over the last 22 years. And I just want to tell you one story from one village in the Gasabo district. This was a story, and it's a funny story, okay? Because fun and humor is important when you're growing community. So this is a story about a school that had no toilets. Yeah? Funny story. But it's a true story. They had no toilets, so the children would go out and go to the toilet everywhere, and there was an awful smell all of the time, smell of urine all of the time. And they didn't know what to do. The other problem was that many of the kids were going to school hungry. Their parents were so poor they couldn't send the children with food. So the community organized, and they started to plant bananas and all kinds of fruit in the ground around the school. But then, because they had no money, they couldn't afford to buy fertilizer to fertilize the bananas and the food. Until one day a parent said, "Do you know that urine is a natural fertilizer?" Did you know that? Hands up who knew that. It's true. If you put urine in a big vat, you didn't know you were going to learn this today, did you? This is important information if you're building community, especially in Rwanda and you don't have any money and you want to grow bananas. So human urine mixed with water in a vat over 3 days makes a perfect fertilizer, and it doesn't actually do any harm to the human beings that consume the food afterwards, not like a lot of the fertilizers we use. So they say, what assets have we got to make natural fertilizer? They had 1,000 kids in the school. They had a perfect factory for making fertilizer. So they built a big vat, and every day 1,000 children created natural fertilizer. Today they have so much fertilizer that they actually sell fertilizer to another village. This is true, at 100 francs a billy can. Now, if this isn't a story about abundance, I don't know what is. And I'll tell you something, they're the sweetest bananas you'll ever taste. That's my story. So I think the reason that stories matter so much is because stories enable us to connect. Nobody, regardless of what their challenge may be in life or what label we place on them, nobody is without a story. Everybody has a story to tell. And the great power of stories is they bring us beyond a condition or a problem or a label, right? They bring us from an interest in what is the matter with somebody to what really matters to somebody. So stories are where our full humanness is. And the great thing about stories is you don't have to be a scientist to understand a story. Everybody can understand a story, from very, very little children to our wise elders. Everybody can relate to a story. So stories are the great means that human beings have used over the centuries and over time to connect and to learn and to share. And ultimately, for our cultures to prevail. That's how we pass on to the next generation what matters most. So stories are the great carriers of meaning in human communities. That's why they matter.